Hi, welcome back to Therapy Designs. If you're new to this channel, my name is Kelly and this channel is all about how to create print-on-demand designs using Canva. So if that is something that you're interested in, please do stick around. So in today's video, I'm going to go ahead and go over how to create this design right here. It says class of 2024. This would be a great back to school shirt for somebody going, in high school who's going to be a high school senior. Obviously it's made for a girl. To do this design, we went ahead, we added the flower, we added the clipping masks for the leopard print and for the sort of gradient on top. We went ahead and added a little strip of gold. We added the text on top. So there were several steps, but it's pretty quick and easy to do still. If you'd like to learn how you can do this, go ahead and stick around. So I am on Canva's homepage now, and I'm going to go ahead and just start with a blank backdrop. So I'm going to go ahead, you can hit custom design or custom size. Either way, we're going to pick a custom size. So I'm going to hit that. I'm going to be selecting 4500 by 5400 pixels, and it will just open a nice blank page for me. From here, I do usually like to start with a black background. So I'm just going to click on my blank canvas, go to the left-hand side where it says background color, and just go ahead and select black. Now I'm going to be making a back to school style design because now is a great time to start thinking about back to school. Now back to school is a very populated niche. There's going to be lots and lots of back to school designs. You can try to niche down and do them for grades, like, back to school for first grade, second grade. You can try to do it for teachers. There's all sorts of ways you can do it. I'm going to go ahead and do more of a class of 2024 style design. And somebody had asked me how to do a design where you use flowers and, different textures within a font or within a word. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys that. So we are going to start, I'm actually going to start by selecting my flower. So it's a little bit of a backwards process, but I want to know what colors I'm going to work with and what size font I'm going to work with. And to do that, I'm going to select what kind of flower I want. So I'm going to go over to the left. I'm going to go up to the top where it says elements. And from here, you can search for whatever kind of flower you want. So for example, if I was to put in a leopard print flower and see what comes up, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my graphics. And so there's different styles of leopard print things and flowers. It's not quite getting what I'm looking for, but I do know what style I want. So let's try again. Let's go leopard print and let's do sunflower and see if that works better. So now I got my leopard print sunflower. Let's see if I can find that. I'm still getting a lot of leopard print. So more something like this. I'm not going to use this one, but that's the idea where you've got the leopard print within the leaves and different color leaves. So I've seen a ton of these. So we'll just keep scrolling until we find the right style one. So here would be an example of another one. And every so often you get lucky and you get these magic recommendations to pop up. And from there, I can just go to see all and see if there's any in here that I like. And so you can see different leopard print ones with different colors. I'm not really fond of any of those. I do want something that's a little bit brighter and more fun. So I'm going to keep scrolling and see if I can find. Here's another cool one, but it does already have text on top. So that one just has the leopard print. Well, no, it's got leopard print in the leaves too. Keep going. But that is sort of the style that I'm looking for. So it might take you a little bit of time in searching to find that. Let's just go ahead and put sunflower and see if I can make this any faster. Sometimes you have to use a lot of different words to sort of find what you want because you never quite know how something is going to be, titled. Here's a nice sunflower one here. It just doesn't have the leopard print, but I do like that. So use a lot of different search terms. You'll get different things or different things coming up in different orders. Here's one. That one's got some different colors and the leopard print. So this is the closest one I've found to what I want. If I get rid of everything below it. So that is a good option there. It did bring up magic recommendations, so I'll look and see if I can find anything else I like. Not so much. And so keep scrolling. There are a ton of these once you find them. If not, if you can't find what you want on Canva, Creative Fabrica does also have a ton of these available to you. So you can always find them there as well. I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to go up to my recently used because I did already find one and I don't want to be scrolling forever with you guys. So I'm going to go to recently used, see all. I'm going to pick the flower that I just used not that long ago. There it is. That's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to get rid of that. So here's the flower that I had picked, right? It had the leopard print and it had some colors to it. So I did kind of like that. Anything where you're doing a flower and leopard print, you know it's going to be a girl design. So you might as well have some girl colors. So here is my flower and I'm just going to set it there. Now I know what colors I'm working with and what size I'm working with. I'm going to go ahead and get a text box up. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard and I'm putting in 2024 because that is the year that I want. And then from here, I'm going to make it nice and big. And probably one of the hardest parts about these kind of designs is you want the flower to look like it goes within the design. So if I brought that up and I'm trying to make the flower replace the 0, it needs to be about the right size. It needs to look like it fits. And you want it to be about the right shape too. So this is when you can go ahead and pick some fonts and see if you can get a font that maybe is a little bit wider, bolder, but has more of a circular style 0 to it. You'll see some of the fonts are going to have very tall, zeros, and some are going to be a little bit more rounded. And so you may have to look a little bit. I'm going to search for bold because I do want it to be nice and thick. And so here's an example right there of a nice, thick, bold font. It's a little bit more narrow than I might like, but it just depends. Here's a Mont Bold. And that one, again, that one's a little bit wider, so I do kind of like the way that looks. And so let's go ahead, we will just pick our Mont Bold. That's an easy one to do. So I'm going to bring that out and make it fill the page. So it's there. Now I want to get rid of the 0 because the flower is going to replace the 0. So from here, I'm going to get rid of the 0 and I'm going to start adding spaces until it is spaced enough that it looks like the flower is going to fit the way I want it to. So maybe something like that. And so I can shrink it down a smidge, again, to make it fit. And I'm going to go ahead and work with my flower here. So whenever I'm working with layers, they've changed this a lot, but the new way to move layers around is if you hit Control on your keyboard and then you hit the left bracket, that is going to move that layer to the back. And now I can get the layer that's underneath it. I would then go ahead, shrink this down so that it looks like it's about the right size. And that actually looks like it's going to fit pretty well. So right now I'm liking the way that that fits. So this is probably what I'm going to go with. So you just have to make sure that you get sort of a font that looks like it would go with whatever you're putting in there. I could definitely have made these bigger by just selecting a narrower font. So for example, if instead of Mont Bold, I went with Formula Bold and then expanded this out, I'm gonna get a lot bigger, which is nice for filling the page. I do like that, but now that flower really isn't gonna look like it goes. Or in order to make the flower look like it goes, I would have to bring this way down, maybe increase the spacing here a little bit. And even still, the flower doesn't look like it goes. And so you can see how even playing with this, you want everything to look like it meshes. So now I make the flower the right height. It's still a little narrow. And it still doesn't necessarily look like it goes as well. So play with your fonts, play with your, designs, try to make it look like it goes as well as possible. That was just a little caveat I wanted to put there. Anyways, right now I am just going to go with this. This is my 2024, so that's what I want to go with. So I'm going to go ahead, hit add page. I just like to have 2 pages to work with. I'm going to move my sunflower down to the 2nd page so it's out of the way. And this I'm going to use as a frame because I want to go ahead and put a clipping mask on here. So I've got 2024. I'm just going to go ahead and put frame. So I'm titling it at the top, 2024 frame. And I'm going to go ahead and hit download. And it's going to be a transparent background. It is a PNG. I only want this first page, so you always have to select the page you're on if you've got more than one. And then I'm going to hit download. And so this is going to be a frame. Now I have to decide what I want to fill the frame with, so what kind of mask I want to put on top. In this video, I wanted to show you how you can use different masks to create sort of a split text. So you've got one kind of texture on top and one texture on the bottom. You can even use a third texture in the middle if you like. And so to do that, I want it to match my sunflower pretty well. So I want it to look like it goes. So I'm thinking of maybe a leopard print down at the bottom and maybe sort of a pinkish or purplish up at the top so that it all looks like it goes together. And maybe even a little bit of a gold or brownish like that kind of through the middle. So let's see what I can come up with. So I'll go back over to Elements on the left-hand side. I am on my recently used, I did already kind of search for this, so you can see right here, this is the leopard print that I picked. I just went to leopard print, graphics, and I selected this one because it looked like it matched my flower pretty well, and so I liked that. I am going to keep it this size, by the way, because you'll see that if I was to make it big enough to go all the way across, now the little prints get really big and they're going to look way too big within there. I want them to look about the same size as the flower. So when I'm looking at the print here and the print here, I want it to look pretty close. So I'm only going to go about this big with it. So I'm going to move that out of the way. So this is the leopard print that I want to go with. Oops. And again, I've got my layers. So let me just hit Control and then my left bracket. That's going to bring my text to the back. So this is going to be on the bottom half. So if I was to bring this right up, it'll show you right where that halfway point is, and it's going to go right there. And then I can hit Control D. That's going to duplicate it when we hit Control D. And I'll move it over there, and I'll hit Control D one more time. Oops. And move it over here. So now I've got my leopard print, and that will go on the bottom of my my 2024. Then I went ahead and I looked for sort of a pinkish purple, or I put pink and purple backgrounds, or pink and purple gradient. These are all things you can search for. So I came up with this one here that I liked because it sort of had that just easy pink purple gradient. And I did kind of liked more of the middle of it. So if I choose the bottom, it's going to be more all purple. If I choose, or the top, it's a little bit more all blue. So I kind of cropped it in like this. So I had kind of half purple, half pink. I brought it on top. I am going to make it big enough to cover. And so something like that. And I also wanted it to look a little bit brighter. So this is a little bit brighter. This looks a little washed out. So what I can do here is I can hit this and I can go to Edit Photo. And then from here, I can go to the Adjust feature at the top. And this is fun because I can adjust the brightness, the contrast, highlights, whatever. I can increase saturation. So if I wanted to make it a little bit lighter, if I wanted to add a little bit of contrast, I could. What I'm really looking at is saturation. I want to be nice and saturated and vibrant in my colors. So now it looks a little bit more like it goes with the flower there. So that looks pretty good. So I'm liking the way that that looks. And then maybe I'm thinking I'll add one more thing, which was a gold stripe here. So I went ahead, I put gold, glitter, and I put line in my search, and I came up with this line right here. So that I got just by hitting gold glitter and then line. And so here's my gold glitter line. I can put it right through the middle here, drag it out so it goes all the way across. I can make it nice and narrow too, so once I've drug it out, I can kind of shrink that down. Now I do want to make sure that this is all lined up nice on my text. So an easy way to check everything is always to check your transparency first. So I can go ahead and click on any of these, go to the top where you get this little checkered box that says transparency. If I click that, I bring the transparency down. I'm going to do it for everything just so that I can make sure it's all lined up right. So what I don't want, I can just do this here. What I don't want is for it to be too high or too low or have the line kind of not centered. So I want it to look right here. You can see the two, like everything is centered pretty well. And that does look pretty good, and it does look pretty centered. So I'm pretty happy again with the way that looks. I think I'm going to stick with that. So we'll go ahead. I'll get rid of my transparency on everything. Get rid of my transparency again. Oops, there it is. And once I have my masks the way that I want them, I'm going to go ahead and download this. And so this is going to say 2024, and I'm just going to put mask. Now I can move the flower out of the page or I can keep it there. It doesn't matter because it's just going to mask the frame that I had, and the frame is only up here. But I'm going to hit share. We're going to download this. Again, I only need page 1. So just selecting page 1. And for this, you can choose a transparent background. You don't have to, doesn't matter, because it's only going to fill in the numbers and they're already covered. So again, transparency, no transparency, does not matter. So go ahead, just click download. And from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to Photopea. So I use Photopea for all of my clipping masks and all of my kind of text distortion. So if I'm warping text, I'll use that too. Otherwise, I do everything on Canva. But I'm going to jump over, I'll let it download first. So I'm going to jump over to Photopea. So if you just hit type photopea.com into your browser, you should get this page. That's all you have to do. You can click open from computer. It's just going to pull up your downloads. From here, go ahead and select your frame, so your 2024 frame or whatever you happen to make, and it'll pull up your frame right here. And now you're going to go up to the top left-hand side where it says File. About 3 spaces down, you're going to select the one that says Open and Place. From there, you're going to go ahead and select your mask and hit Open. And it should pull your mask up right on top. So if you go over to the right where you see your 2 layers, you should have the mask on top, and then your background should be on the bottom, and your mask should be the one that's highlighted. So make sure that it all looks like this. If you've got it all looking like this, then you should be able to come up to the top, move over to where you say layer. You can click layer, and about halfway down, it should say clipping mask, and you should be able to go ahead and click that. Now, I know people have had problems with this. Without seeing your page, I can't exactly say what your problems are or are not. But just so everybody's clear, I don't have any kind of an account with them. There's no log on. I don't pay for it. It's totally free. What you see is what I do. So if you're having problems, just make sure that you have followed all of the steps that I've done, and it should work. So that was my little caveat there. Now I'm going to go ahead and take my 2024, and I'm going to go to the left-hand side where it says File. About halfway down, you'll see Export As. I'm going to select a PNG. If you give it a second, it will pull up a little box here. This is where you could retitle it if you wanted to. It's still a PNG, still 4,500 by 5,400 pixels. Really, all you have to do is hit Save, and then you can just go right back over to your Canva page. So just go ahead, straight back over to Canva. I'm going to leave this alone just in case I need to mess with it a little bit. And I'm going to come down here. And so this is the page I'm going to start working on now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up what I just made. So over on the left-hand side, I'm going to go to the tab that says Uploads. Click there. I'm going to click Upload Files. And I'm going to go ahead and upload my 2024. Good. Once I got it uploaded, I just click on it. I can close that. Here's my 2024. I'm going to crop it down. It makes it a little bit easier to work with. So something like that. And I'm going to go ahead and drag it across the page, make it nice and big. So something like that. Now I can go ahead and size my flower so that it fits. So I want it to be right about the same height, and it should fill that space pretty perfectly now, and it should match pretty perfectly now. So now I've got my leopard print, and I've got my pinks and my purples, and so that all looks really cool. I'm thinking what I might do now is add a little bit of a white border around here just to kind of make it pop. So from here, I'm going to go ahead, I'll select my 2024, I'll start with that. I'm going to go to Edit Photo, and I'm going to use the shadow feature here under FX Effects, and so I'll click on that. And from here, I can use the one that says Outline. Now you can select your color, so I'm just going to go ahead and pick white. So I'll drag that all the way up to white. And then you can select your size. Right now it's really thick. I want it to just be, you know, a small outline, something like that. Okay, so I like the way that that looks. Perfect. Now I want to do the same thing with the flower. Now I gotta say, I really like a lot of the changes that Canva has made recently in terms of their photo editing effects. Some of these steps used to take me a lot longer in roundabout ways. They've made it a lot easier to just go ahead and edit everything, including graphics. So if I'm gonna go to my flower, I'm gonna have to go ahead, hit Control and left bracket to send the 2024 to the back. Now I can select my flower. It's now gonna allow me to hit Edit Photo and use photo effects on this graphic, which is something that it never used to let me do before. I used to have to download it and then save it as a graphic and then pull it up and then use photo effects on it. Now it's just letting me use photo effects on it. So that is really cool because that is a huge time saver for me. So really like that. So I can do the same thing again, selecting whites using an outline. I can select the size of the outline. Again, I want it to be pretty thin. I want it to look like it kind of goes with the 2024, so they're all around the same thickness. So you might play with it, maybe a little too thick, maybe give it there, and it takes a second or two to kind of adjust. So if I think that looks pretty good, I can click out of it. I don't have to hit apply or anything anymore. So people watching some of my older videos and they're having difficulty following because maybe their page no longer looks like mine, it's just because Canva is constantly updating things, and every time they do, it makes it look different. So now I've got my 2024, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and group this together now so I don't move it. So to do that, I'm gonna left click anywhere outside of my image, hold that down and just drag over all of it. That'll group it together and I can just hit group right there. Now I can move the whole thing and resize it however I want. And so that's pretty cool. And I have no idea why it did this. It did that in my other one too. It made that line a little bit thicker and I'm not quite sure why. I don't think it's a big deal though, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it. If I wanted to get rid of it, I could do a background removal and probably cut that down a little bit, but I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it. Now I'm gonna pull up another text box, so I'm gonna hit T on my keyboard. It's made a really small text box. I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger so I can see it. I'm gonna bring it up here, and this text box is going to say class of, and so I'm gonna hit class of, just like that. And this one I want to do some sort of a scripty font. So I'm going to go ahead, come up here, I'm going to select a script, something easy here, and I want it to be something a little bit thinner because I want it to kind of look like it goes with more of the outline. So I can select any little, script that I want, so you can play. I played with it, I already know the one that I want, but there's like that one was a good one too, so that was one I thought about doing there. I think vintage goods was another one that I kind of liked, and so I thought that had a little bit of a good look to it. So you can pick, sort of what font you want, what you think will look nice. The one I have decided to go with is Atom Script, and it is the thin one. So right now you see there's Atom Script Heavy, Light. I think I went with Thin, and so that looked pretty cool like that. And I went ahead, put that above the design, centered it, and then I wanted just a couple little lines off to the side. And so to put a line on the page, all you have to do is hit L on your keyboard. It's going to create a line. I can adjust the color up here, and I can adjust the line weight here. So I'm going to make it, a little bit thicker so I can see it, but about the same thickness as the outline. So it's going to be thin. I can also hit rounded endpoints, so I can make just the ends rounds. And so there I have my line, just like that. And I can go ahead and shrink my line down however I want. And I'm going to move this line right up here, so something like that. And to make sure I get the same size line and everything else, I can click on it and I can hit Control D. Control D will just always duplicate whatever you have, and then I can take my line and move it straight over to the other side of the page there. Now right now that is not looking super centered, and that is not a problem. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to go ahead, highlight the whole thing so that it's grouped, and now I'm going to center that. And now it's centered. And then I can bring this back up and put it wherever I want, and so that looks pretty good. And now if I wanted to move the whole thing, I can group it all together. And so again, I can just left click, hold it down, bring it over everything, hit group, and now this is one thing. And so now I can put it in the page anywhere I want and resize it however I want. And so that's one of the kind of benefits of designing small and designing in the middle, so you've got room around the side. And then once you get it the way you want it, it becomes very easy to group it together, resize it, move it, and put it where you want. So there's a simple class of 2024. You got the flower, you've got your two-tone prints, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave it as this. So at this point, if I want to, I can get rid of the top up here. I can just delete this page by hitting delete. You can save it if you think that you might want to still make some alterations. And I can go ahead and save this. It's ready to go, as I can go ahead and just put class of, 24 leopard, however you want to title it. And then go to share. Go to where it says download. It's still a PNG. You do want a transparent background, and you're just going to download it, and now it is ready to go. You can put it on a shirt or anything that you want. If you have any questions about this, again, drop it in the comment section below. I do try to get back to everybody as quickly as I can, and if you do have any requests for videos, again, you can put those in the comment section below, and I'll try to go ahead and add you to my list. Hope you guys are doing well, and I hope to see you guys again next week. That's it for today's video. If you found that useful and would like to see more videos with helpful tips and tricks, be sure to hit like and subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss any of the weekly videos. As always, keep growing and stay creative, and we'll see you next time.